There comes a point where awareness isn't the problem anymore. You know what's happening. You've felt it enough times to recognize the pattern. Sometimes even while you're in the middle of it, you catch yourself thinking the same thought, reacting the same way, feeling the same frustration that follows it. And still, you end up there again. Same reaction, same aftermath, same quiet conversation with yourself later where you promise you'll handle it differently next time. That's the moment most people start to question whether anything is actually changing. But something is changing. You're noticing it sooner. You're interrupting it faster. You're not as far down the path as you used to be before you catch it. That may not feel like progress, but it is. It's just not dramatic. The truth is, most people don't struggle because they don't know what to do. They struggle because knowing and doing are two different things. Awareness will show you the pattern, but it won't change by itself. That's where the work starts to shift from understanding into practice. That is the part that doesn't get talked about enough because it's not exciting. It doesn't make for a great headline. It's not a breakthrough moment. It's repetition. In flipping the format on the fear of failure, this is where everything starts to come together. You don't build confidence by thinking about it. You don't become resilient by waiting for the right moment. You build it by doing something differently and then doing it again. And then doing it again when it would be easier not to. That's the P in the WKRP framework, positive psychology. Not in the way it's often presented, as if it's forcing optimism and pretending things are fine when they're not. It's about understanding how your brain and body actually function under pressure, and then working with that instead of against it. When you stay in a constant state of stress, your thinking narrows. Your reactions speed up. Your ability to step back and evaluate what's really happening gets smaller. You don't become less capable. You just lose access to your full capacity. And that's why this matters. Mental health isn't something you address once things fall apart. It's something you maintain. The same way you take care of your body, the same way you brush your teeth, or at least the way you intend to. You need a hygiene routine for your mind. Not when you're in crisis. Before that. This is where badass becomes less of an idea and more of a way you operate. Stay the course. That's the part most people skip. It's not dramatic. It's not exciting. It's consistent. It's like paying attention to what you're feeding your mind. It looks like noticing when your energy starts to shift and doing something about it early. It looks like stepping away before your system forces you to. It looks like choosing not to engage in something you already know is going to drain you. It looks small, which is exactly why people underestimate it. But those small choices, repeated over time, are what change the pattern. That's neuroplasticity, not one big moment where everything clicks into place. Repetition. What you return to becomes what you reinforce. You see this play out in Dead Air, The Day the Music Died, through Roy Longley. Roy is the market manager. He's responsible for 8 radio stations in Los Angeles. And in the middle of the crisis, 4 of them are off the air. They're bleeding money every second. Clients are calling. Sponsors are angry. His staff is looking to him for direction while they're trying to manage their own stress in real time. That's pressure from every direction. And in that kind of moment, it's very easy for your thinking to collapse in on itself, to focus on everything that's going wrong, everything that's at risk, everything that could get worse. Roy has to make a shift. Not in the situation. He doesn't have control over that. It's in how he's thinking about the situation. When he steps out of the reactive loop, even for a moment, he gets clearer. Not calmer in the sense that everything is fine, but clearer in the sense that he can actually see what needs to happen next. The clarity changes how he leads. It changes the decision he makes. It changes how his team responds. The situation didn't change. His thinking did. And that changed everything that followed. I see the same principles showing up in a very different way as I work on the Radio and Records Cafe. This story isn't building on crisis, it's building on connection. But the pattern is the same. People don't suddenly become clearer. They don't suddenly understand themselves or each other in one moment. It happens over time, in conversations, in small realizations, in moments where something finally lands differently than it did before. A line here, a reaction there, something that didn't seem important until it connects to something else later. That's how stories come together. It's how people change. You don't wake up one day and think differently. You return to something enough times that it becomes the way you think. That's why I write things down. That's why I pay attention when something shows up. Even if it's inconvenient, even if it interrupts my night, it's not about discipline. It's about building a pattern I can rely on. The same is true for you. If you don't want to keep ending up in the same place, you have to change what you practice when things are calm, not just what you do when things are hard. That might mean taking a few minutes before your day to get clear on how you want to show up. It might mean turning off the noise long enough to hear your own thoughts. It might mean moving your body, changing your environment, or simply pausing before you react. None of that is complicated, but it is intentional. And intention, repeated over time, becomes identity. That's the part people don't realize. You don't just change your habits, you change how you see yourself. I'm someone who notices. I'm someone who adjusts. I'm someone who responds instead of reacts. That doesn't happen all at once. It happens because you practice it. So if you've been following along this month, don't try to implement everything at the same time. That's just another version of overwhelm. Pick one thing, one place you've noticed a pattern, one moment where you usually react the same way, and do something different, even slightly. Because that's how this works. Not perfectly, not all at once, but consistently. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to practice being more aware of who you already are and choose differently when it matters. That's how to stop ending up in the same place. And that's how you start building something better. We'll keep going.